Hello, I'm Debbie Hancock and welcome to Get Financially Fit with Debbie Hancock. Today's podcast is how financial coaching can help your business. So let's dive straight in. I wanted to talk about one of my clients who came to me. His business was incredibly risky and this was stopping him sleeping at night. He was the breadwinner of the family and was worried about if the real risks in his business did happen and the business had to close and there was no income for the family. Now, we could have dived straight in with looking at cash forecasting, looking at profitability, etc. However, he was really scared to look at his numbers. And it came down to where was that fear coming from and what stories was he telling himself about the money. Now, let's be honest, his business was risky and there was a real risk to be concerned with. But by not looking at the numbers, he was stopping him from making decisions around the business, such as pricing, growing the business, putting boundaries in so that he wasn't getting interrupted with time with his daughter. So financial coaching is all around money mindset, which means it's looking at the stories, behaviours and habits that drive your financial decisions. We like to think that finance is very logical, that numbers are logical. However, we are all human and our decisions are driven by emotion. So if I told him to simply put his price up without looking at the stories behind why he didn't want to do that, he wouldn't have done it. He would have just run the other way. So it was really important to get to grips with his story and show him the benefits and consequences of the stories he was holding on to. So financial coaching is really understanding where your stories are coming from, how they're benefiting you, the consequences of holding on to those stories, what differences you can make if you change that story. It's also then exploring the future. So what, when and how will you do next now you've changed those money stories? And then how are you going to celebrate going forward now you've changed those stories? So let's dive in. You can start the process of becoming aware of your money stories yourself. So you can look at podcasts such as this. You can download freebies and I'll put the link in the description. You can begin journaling about your answers to these questions. You can read books. And this is a great place to start bringing awareness. The thing with having a coach to support you is that the coach can ask you the difficult questions you're avoiding. So when you're reading through the book or even the freebies yourself and going through the questions, if you find something too uncomfortable, too difficult, you can just ignore it. You can just pretend it doesn't exist and you can move on and you can tell yourself you don't know. That's often a response you get when asking coaching questions. I don't know, and then you move on. Whereas a coach will be able to hold the space for you and put that little bit of pressure on you to actually delve into your mind and answer the question. What a coach can also do is they can look at the words you're using, the way you're phrasing your sentences, and they can watch your body language. So sometimes when I ask a question, I can see my clients physically react to that question. And I can think, I think I've nearly hit the nail on the head here, and it gives me that encouragement to delve further in. And what next? And what else? And what else? Whereas when you're doing it yourself, if it becomes uncomfortable, it's so easy just to pass on by. I always think of songs, so that song just came into my head. Let me know if you know what it is. They can also ask you personalised questions. So I can start with, say, money is. Write down money is, and write down the first few words that come to you. Don't question them, don't analyse them, don't see where they're coming up, just write them down. And then when more words come up, write them down too. So you can do this on your own and you can begin to analyse and become aware of your money stories. But what you can't do is then ask the questions that are personalised to you. So if you wrote down, say, money is security, where has that story come from? And I can ask, or another coach can ask questions that delve into that. And from your answers, they can then delve further into that and really become aware of where that story comes from, the benefits, the consequences, and how you can change that belief and story. So my client that I spoke about at the beginning, when we delved into his story, we could understand why he wasn't sleeping at night and why he didn't want to look at the numbers and why he had fear around increasing his prices. So a really common one is, if I increase my prices, all my clients are going to leave and I'm going to have no money. The fact was, he was actually selling two services, a lower cost and a more premium service. And to me, honestly, I couldn't really see a massive difference in the value being provided between those two services. The clients being attracted to those services were different. In the higher VAT cost one, it was forming a real community. People were out there and supporting each other, encouraging each other, and they were really respecting his boundaries. Whereas in the lower cost one, that wasn't happening at all. And people were expecting more and more and more support from him, messaging him in the evenings when he was with his daughter. And this was causing him real stress and anxiety. So once we were able to delve into the numbers and look at the strategy and look at the mindset stories, he decided to close the lower cost one and push forward with the higher priced service. He went from 5k months to 15k months. All because he was able to understand the stories that were preventing him from increasing his price and give himself a new story, reframe it. And he pushed forward with the higher priced product. Now, you can do this yourself. You can start to look at your money stories and start to journal around them. You can journal money is and see what words come up. And then you can delve further into it. So if a story comes up, say, I remember going down to the newsagents and paying for the newspapers with like 20p, but in pennies, and the newsagent not wanting to take it. And I was like, but it's real money. Why won't you take my pennies? And it's like, what stories formed around that? Like my money wasn't good enough. And that unless I had higher value money, so like a 20p coin, people didn't want to know. So then what does that mean? And what impact has that had on me, etc. So what financial coaching can do is it takes the strategy and it overlaps it with human emotions to understand why you are making certain decisions in your business. Because logically, you know that you should increase your prices. Logically, you know that going VAT registered is going to be good for you because you have a forecast of hitting 200k in the business. Logically, you know that saving towards your tax return is the best thing you can do. Yet we don't do these things, even though we know that's the right thing to do. And the reason we don't do that is because we're emotional human beings. And what financial coaching does is shows you those stories. And once you've seen them, you can't hide from them. And it will impact the decisions you're making. So are you making this decision from a place of fear? Or are you making the decision from a place of logic? Think about decisions you need to make in the next few weeks. How are you approaching them? So this episode is going to come out in December. Are you telling yourself that people aren't buying right now? Are you telling yourself there's no money around because the heating bills have gone up? Are you telling yourself that there's no point selling in January because everyone's going to be focused on health and fitness and you don't sell something in that industry? What are you telling yourself? And is it true? It's almost one of the most important questions you could ask yourself. Is it true? So the value that financial coaching can bring to your business is far beyond just strategic advice. Like, I can tell you to increase your prices, but you will not do it unless we understand your fears and stories around it. I can tell you to go VAT registered. That is completely logical. But again, you won't do it unless you understand what is preventing you from doing that. And for me, mindset has been one of the biggest changes. It's had the most impact on me and my business. Go back a few years ago and I wouldn't even, I would stutter my way through a podcast. I think I'm talking too fast. I think I sound silly. I didn't want to do it. The biggest change is having confidence in myself. And financial coaching will give you the confidence in your business to make solid financial decisions, because you will understand the human element of those decisions. I'm going to drop my money mindset freebie into the description of this podcast. So it's one way of you getting started, and you can journal through the questions. And if you don't like journaling, maybe just voice note yourself, because certainly for me, once I start talking, you can't stop me. Whereas writing, it's just not my thing so much. So voice noting could be a way that you could start to do this. And then see, is this having an impact on your business? Is it cropping up? Are the thoughts cropping up when you're coming to make decisions? And let me know how you get on. I would absolutely love that. So happy Christmas, happy holiday. Hope you all have fab time. And please, see this as a chance to make a difference to your business. Thank you and bye.